Okay, let's go.
Hi, friends of Coachella Valley. Jose here from the New Mindset. We have a brand new person in this episode that I've been getting to know more and more. Campaign manager for Mr. Jeff Gonzalez, Mr. Frank Hill. Tell me a little bit about you, Frank. Let's go from the beginning. So I know you're a campaign manager today, but tell me about where you grew up. Where are you originally from?
It is an hour south of Cleveland, so that's where I grew up. And both sides of my family, born and raised there. And I actually kind of got into politics not on purpose. I wasn't really raised politically.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about politics. I wasn't raised hearing about it or anything like that. And then I went to college, first generation college student in my family.
Oh, congratulations.
And thank you. I went to Kent State. I was actually majoring in education, and I was like, I don't know that this is really for me. So I switched to undecided.
Okay.
And then once I went undecided, I ran for our, just randomly, someone had asked me and I did it. I ran for the hall, like, the dorm hall.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like a council. So I ran for president of that just randomly. And I did not win, but I was somewhat got in some trouble because my campaign posters in that race were kind of based off of certain political figures that are not liked per se. And I thought it was a joke. I thought, I'm running for this thing. I don't really care much about it.
Right.
But I was just like, I'm going to make this funny campaign poster. And I got a talking to from the staff about how offensive it is and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, this is crazy.
Right.
So then through the rest of college, I just decided I was interested in politics, became more interested, and didn't really like what I was hearing on the college campus.
Right.
And so I got into it. My senior year of college, I interned in DC for Congressman Jim Jordan from Ohio. Then I got a job with the grassroots organization doing kind of campaign work, and then I met my wife somewhere all in there. Moved to
you had some time.
Sacramento. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
My goodness.
Moved to Sacramento, got a job with the assembly. We went back to Ohio, and then my wife and I decided to come back to California. Got connected with Jeff Gonzalez, and now I'm in Indio, California.
So that's a summary of your life right there. Oh,
I'd say, yeah.
Let me take you back a little bit. So you never grew up in politics. You said you never really were inclined by any which way with your family. How big is your family, your immediate family? How many are you guys?
So I have a brother. He is 17 now.
Older? Oh, okay, younger.
He's 17, and then my dad, who he's a chef, so definitely not like politically.
Right.
Until I got kind of into politics, he never paid attention.
Okay.
And then my grandparents, who I spent most of my time with growing up, they kind of raised me that whole Democrats are for the poor and Republicans are for the rich, because that's what they always heard growing up.
Right.
So I kind of always had that in my mind, and just navigating my own experiences in life. I know that I was raised with conservative values, like respecting your elders,
Right.
sticking to beliefs that are kind of, fundamental to a family and stuff. And so, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that's how we got into that.
Did you ever play sports in high school or anything along the way?
I was in band. I played trombone.
You stop it right now.
I did. All from fifth grade to my senior year.
Wow. I don't really, I was always in choir. So I never, what do they say?
I was in choir,
my instrument is internal, not external.
Yes. That's true.
So were you in a performing band? You had to do marching or no?
Yeah, so I was actually in concert band, and then I also did swing band is what it was called. So my high school, it's one of the oldest marching bands in the country. It started in 1938 officially.
Wow.
But it's more of a show band, so it's not like it's more making formations and stuff like that.
Ohio State is known, for all their showmanship when it comes to band and stuff. So I can imagine
exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any incline in the arts through that, or was it just like, oh, I did it and it's gone?
As far as do I still do anything with it?
I mean, I would assume that being in band, you're more inclined to listening to not just your typical music, but you're actually inclined into the arts a little bit more, understanding how your part plays a bigger role in the major scheme of things.
Yeah. I was never really the type that was interested in classical or that type of music, but I definitely I'm really into like the older 50s, 40s, 30s, big band.
Are you to swing? Do you know Big Bad Voodoo Daddy?
Big Bad what?
It's a band called Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. Voodoo Daddy, yeah. It's a swing band.
No.
Oh, man.
No,
amazing.
I don't.
You got to check them out. They're pretty cool.
It's more modern?
Modern's quite a weird word. No, I don't think it's modern. No. It is. It does have a modern twist, but it's not. It's based on 50s style era music.
But I mean, it's a modern band like today.
Yeah, you can listen to them. You can go to concerts with them today, and they're actually pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Not sponsored by Big Bad Voodoo Band, but, it's so, you went through band, you had your experience with all that. Frank Hill, what was your first job?
My first official job.
Your first job. You were 16 working at a grocery. What was your first job?
My first job was working at Dairy Queen. And I absolutely hated it.
Wow. Wow.
My boss was not nice at all.
Okay.
And it left a very sour taste in my mouth. And that was my first job.
Well, on that note, let's use that as a segue. Let's get to a quick commercial. When we come back, let's talk about what you're doing today.
¿Buscas el cóctel perfecto y sin problemas? Conoce los cócteles premium de Booze Box, hecho a mano con licores de primera categoría e ingredientes reales. Booze Box te trae el bar sin necesidad de camarero. Simplemente agita, bebe y saborea al momento. ¿Listo para elevar tu próxima reunión? Recoge un Booze Box hoy en tus Tower Markets o en el supermercado Vallarta y a festejar los buenos momentos.
All right, and we're back here with the new mindset of Coachella Valley. So, Frank, question for you. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing today. Now, as I've already stated, you are the campaign manager for Jeff Gonzalez. So, obviously, today, you're about to go into the last bit of the campaign, right? I believe the elections are on the 4th.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had quite the uphill battle. I've been with you through some of that. I haven't been through all of it because it's just my gig is different. But so today, outside of everything that you do, what else is it that Frank Hill does? In every sense of the word. You're a husband. Wait, are you a father? No, you're not.
No.
You're a doggy parent.
I am a doggy parent. I have my old English bulldog that I love.
Awesome.
So what do I do outside of work?
outside of everything you do, tell me about it. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, let's talk about what you do as a campaign manager. But before that, you do other stuff. I mean, you have your own hobbies. You do your own things on the side. What is it that Frank does? I've never really asked you this.
Well, I'm a very big family person. So family and friends, I love spending my time that I'm not at work, hanging out with friends and catching up with family, and always consumed with what's going on in politics. That's kind of what makes me tick.
Is your family still out there in Ohio, or are they out here with you?
Yep, my whole family.
Okay.
Most of my family.
Okay, I see. So you hang out with friends and family when you're not at work. I'm sure your wife loves hanging out with you. You guys go to
I would say hopefully. Hopefully she enjoys it at least a little bit.
So tell me about your work life. So you found a work-life balance. Tell me about your work life. What is it that you do today?
I don't know that I've found a work-life balance.
Okay.
Because I don't think that exists in a campaign. But I'll say it's a privilege to work for Jeff. He is a really, truly, people say, oh, they're a good person, and Jeff is genuinely a good person. And he has allowed me to kind of find that work-life balance, being married. Usually, if you're a campaign manager or you work on campaigns, you don't have much of a personal life.
Right.
But obviously the schedule is very hit or miss. It could be all day, every day, morning to night, or okay, there's just a little bit going on here, but we have to kind of tend to some housekeeping issues. You know what I mean?
And
so it really depends.
Yeah. How did you find your job as a campaign manager? How does one do that?
So I worked, like I said, the assembly, the state assembly, doing communications, some communications work. And when my wife and I decided we wanted to come back to California, I reached out to my old boss in Sacramento, and luckily there's a really good community up there that I got the pleasure to know, and they said, oh, well, we have an opening in Southern California. I never met Jeff or been down here before in my life. Okay. So that's how I found it.
So basically, when you graduated college, right, with a major, you were connected.
Political science.
So you had created your network through your, I would assume, internships, and as your network grew, you were able to find a job. So what happens when the election is done?
That is yet to be determined.
Okay.
To be determined.
Okay. Well, either way,
I really don't know.
You truly have your own set of leadership skills. It's very unique. You have a interesting way of communicating. I don't know if you see it, because I'm telling you something I see from the outside. I don't know if you know that internally. But so you have a very easy way of communicating with a lot of people, and I've seen the way you kind of handle situations. It's very professional. And it's really easy to go into a meeting with you. You know that? It's easy because if you divert any type of question your way, you have a very good way of answering, very correct manner, very professional manner. The reason I'm mentioning this,
thank you.
Of course, I want to ask you. I don't know if you see that, because I'm seeing it outside to you, but do you know where that came from? Do you know how you were able to do that? Do you have any incline to understanding how it is that you do that? Do you have a professional tip?
I have to give all the credit, really, to who I am in general, to my dad and all of my family. It was a big community, because unfortunately, when I was 10 years old, my mom passed away. So that was a tough time. But I luckily had grandparents that they went above and beyond. And so both of my grandmothers, I was extremely close to equally, but especially my dad's mother, she and I were like best friends, and unfortunately she passed coming up on a year ago, but she really taught me that you're never afraid of anybody. You put yourself out there, you work hard, you communicate and respect people until they give you a reason not to respect them. But that's really, I mean, my communication, my ability to speak with so many different people. I mean, my grandma was that person who lit up the room, and she talked to everybody and didn't care who you were, and she would come up and so yeah, she really instilled that in me.
Oh, that's really cool, Frank. I didn't know that. That's really,
yeah.
I didn't know. Like I said, and that description I gave, it's hard for me to explain it in words how professional, how good you are at that. But I can see why you're a campaign manager. Now I'm going to ask you a tough question. Nothing crazy. What does a campaign manager do?
What does a campaign manager do? Well, I'd say the number one thing, and I'm sure if you asked, I've only been at this couple months, so I'm not an expert by any means, but in my thoughts for this specific race, the biggest thing is managing personalities. When you have a campaign and you have a candidate, everybody has their input, and it's a lot of good input. There's a lot of people who have good contributions to the conversation, and then you have others that think they know everything and aren't very respectful. But you need support from everybody, right? It's like a snowball. Like, I feel like a campaign is like a snowball. You start with this candidate and this message, and you roll this snowball, and you just keep rolling, and it's getting bigger and bigger. And, some breaks off along the way, and people change their minds and whatnot. But the biggest thing is collaborating, building that snowball, and making the campaign as open to as many people as you can. So I think that would be the number one thing.
Wow. Have you created a broader network than when you started?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I showed up. I didn't know anybody here. Literally not one person.
Wow.
And showed up, and I would say within a couple weeks, I mean, I had probably doubled or tripled the contact list in my phone. And we got to work, and I could pick up the phone and call people from Calexico to Palm Desert to Needles to anywhere. And
now that you're here in the Valley, do you feel like you're going to belong here? Do you like it? Tell me. Obviously, you like it. You love it. I know you love it.
I do.
Tell me about staying here. I know your job takes you all over the place. Would you consider as the home base, or do you think if you have to move to the next place to understand the location?
I think so. My wife's family is all in Sacramento, so it's tough because obviously we have family in completely different ends of the country,
right?
And so we're married and we want to have a family and all that, and so I think right now the goal is to get back to Sacramento, work at the Capitol, hopefully around the Capitol, and see what contributions I can make there. But I'm completely open to wherever God takes me, because, I mean, they say with God all things are possible, and I don't know that I ever would have ended up in the Coachella Valley without some sort of guiding light or influence in my life that's bigger than a man,
That's awesome. That's awesome word. It's a great message. Well, let's use that as a little segue into our next commercial. When we come back, let's talk about your future, see where you're going. We'll be right back.
La vida se trata de los momentos que compartimos. Y Bass Bags Premium Cocktails está aquí para hacer que esos momentos sean inolvidables, ya sea un brindis por una ocasión especial o simplemente ponerse al día con viejos amigos. Bass Bags es la adición perfecta. Hechos a mano con licores de primera calidad e ingredientes reales. Nuestros cócteles están listos para disfrutar, donde quiera que se hagan tus recuerdos. Encuentra Bus Bucks en tus Tower Markets o en el supermercado Vallarta. Brindemos los momentos que
And we're
importan.
back with the third part of this. This is a fantastic story you got so far, Frank. You got me all in the feels. I see why we connect. You know, I grew up with my grandparents. I didn't grow up with my grandparents. I had my parents, but I had to live in different parts of the world, and I got to spend most of the time in a little city called Santa Fe Springs in Los Angeles, California area. And I got to grow up with my grandparents, and man, they were awesome. They instilled in me a lot of things you're talking about, the qualities of walking into a room, not owning it. I mean, it's a very interesting quality that grandparents seem to have.
Yeah.
And that being said, talking about the past is amazing. Talking about today is, wow, you have a lot of stuff in your hands. But tell me about the future. I know it's a little hard and blurry, I'm sure, at times. But ideally, where does your life take you in the next 5 years? Or where do you see yourself even next week? What's the goal?
Yeah, I think we always get, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And I stressed myself out so bad in college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was an undecided major, didn't have a clue. And so I stopped asking myself that question, because especially right now, like this experience on this campaign, every day is a step either forward or backward. You're either getting better or you're getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I look more at it, and this is a perfect time to ask this question. Next week is an election. It's a big election.
Yeah.
And so right now I'm focused on what's right in front of me and how can I influence the step right in front of me to lead me to the next step. You know what I mean? So I feel like I've been led to where I am for a reason, and I'm just going to keep taking it day by day. And I don't really have a huge expectation. I think I'm open to wherever I'm called to go.
Well, I do hope that wherever it is taking you, it continues to showcase all your natural born talents.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
As far as your career is concerned, you're going to stay within the same model that you're doing throughout the rest of your entire life. You wouldn't think of switching into anything else?
Well, before I even knew anything about politics, I didn't realize that within politics, within government, there really is there's so much. There are so many avenues and opportunities and people, and I just think politics and government are one of the greatest ways you can impact people, positively or negatively.
Right.
In California, you see a lot of the negative. And obviously that's my bias, but that's right. What I think. I think people are struggling. And so government, can either make life easier by, lessening, tough regulations, or making taxes lower so that people can get by, or make it harder. And so for me, I feel like my impact in whatever facet it might be is going to be best in this type of
so you're going to stick
industry.
to this realm, you'll stay to the industry. We'll continue to see you backing some incredible political leaders as their campaign manager.
We'll see. Maybe. I mean, so the way it works is like you have campaign, and then you have political side. Or, I'm sorry, campaign and official side.
Okay.
So obviously both are political in some way, but on a campaign, you have a campaign manager, you have a field director who oversees going door to door and stuff like that, volunteers. You have your fundraisers, you have blah, 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 blah. Okay. Then on the official side, so as an assemblyman or as a congressman or as a senator, you have staff. So chief of staff, communications, scheduler, all these different people. So some people live and breathe for campaigns. Some people live and breathe, I want to work on the official side, and that's it. Some people do both. And I'd say campaigns, full-time campaigning probably isn't the best for someone that is somewhat newly married and wants to have a family,
Right.
So this was just really, an opportunity that came up, and I took it. I never really thought to myself, I want to be a campaign manager, but here I am.
Well, now that you got a taste for it, what you described, there's a few people that are different, right? Some are behind the scenes, some are in front, some all this. Well, now that you've gotten a taste, I know you haven't gotten to the end of the road yet, but what is your incline? Which person are you trying to be? The one behind the scenes or the one trying to make the decisions?
I am fine with being behind the scenes, but I also like being out talking to people, representing, having influence, in a good way, having good influence, collaborating with a team. And so, I don't know. I see myself kind of being more on the outward side of things.
Interesting. That's really cool, man. Wow, it's really nice getting to know this side of you. It's crazy. You have aspirations. Who would have thought? I do appreciate that you are giving some time to this. Let's quit to the last commercial. When we come back, there's a segment that's coming up. Let me explain to you a little bit about what that is. I call it the Pearls of Wisdom. A few episodes back, my younger brother Eric called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, I just heard an episode from a DJ, and I've been wanting to be a DJ. She said in the episode that she'll teach someone. Hook me up." And that threw me off, bro. I've known this guy all my life, and I not for 1 second could imagine that he ever wanted to be a DJ. Ever since then, I ask all my hosts, my guests, to give us their pearls of wisdom. What's a few steps that people could take to, do what you do? But
okay,
we'll cut the commercial. We'll come back and let's hear what you got.
All right,
we'll be right back.
¿Cansado de mezclar bebidas? BuzzBox Premium Cocktails te tiene cubierto. Nuestros cócteles listos para beber están elaborados con licores de primera calidad e ingredientes reales y totalmente naturales. Ya sea que estés descansando junto a la piscina, recibiendo amigos o simplemente relajado después de un largo día, BuzzBox es el compañero perfecto. Elija entre una variedad de deliciosos sabores, desde la clásica margarita, la refrescante limonada de vodka, hasta el tequila, paloma y más. No hay necesidad de batidoras, no hay desorden, solo pura perfección de cóctel en cada caja. Entonces, ¿por qué esperar? Encuentra cócteles BuzzBox Premium en tus Ralph's o Albertsons locales. Y haz de cada momento un momento BuzzBox. ¡Salud!
And we're back here with New Mindset Coachella Valley podcast. Frank Hill. Frank, I already explained to you what the Pearls of Wisdom is. By all means, there's no real list, right? At first, we were trying to do give us your top 5 ways that somebody can. It's just not that simple. There's multiple layers and layers. It's like an onion, right? There's so many steps, so many ways that you can go. You had a career, you were undecided, then you found this. It found you. It's complicated. If you
Absolutely.
try to summarize a good path that people could take if they wanted to into this type of line of work or into this type of career, if you must, what would be your, top points you can talk about that you could mention?
I'd say number 1 is volunteering. Whether you're in college or older or never went to college, I don't really think it matters. If you have a drive and you're interested, I didn't know anybody that worked in politics or government or anything. I just knew I had an interest in it. And it kind of just slowly got a stronger interest. So I volunteered on some campaigns, walked into local party headquarters. Hey, what can I do? How do I get involved? And That led me actually to my first internship. So internships, I'd say, is another step. I got to intern in the district office of my congressman, which was pretty awesome. And it's just all through networking and word of mouth. And oh, hey, yeah, that there's this guy or this gal who wants to get involved, and making yourself present and being a pleasant person. That is just the biggest thing. Is no matter what you want to do, being a pleasant person. And we're all guilty. We all have moments where we're overwhelmed, we're stressed. But being a pleasant person, putting yourself out there, asking someone how they're doing, thanking them, and showing your appreciation for them, giving advice, or maybe getting you a contact for somebody you need to know. It makes the difference. And especially in politics, reputations are really important. So if your reputation is that you're an asshole, then people probably aren't going to want to work with you. But if they're like, oh yeah, Jose, he's a great guy. He's very helpful, and he can get things done. That makes all the difference. So right. Volunteering, interning, and being a pleasant person, I'd say those are the top three.
That's really good. Those are really great tips, man. I mean, that's genuinely a great 3-point list. That was really good. Thank you for getting deep in with that thought. That was a really awesome thought. Well,
and I love the story behind Pearls of Wisdom. I think that's awesome.
Oh man, that's a real story. I'm gonna try to post it one day and show people all the messages. I keep mentioning him.
I love it.
Nobody ever really gets to meet my brother, but if one day I'll see when he becomes a DJ, I'll give him an episode and then we'll talk about all that. Well, Frank, I want to thank you for your time. I know you have so much work to get back to. Elections coming up. Do you have any message for anybody listening that's going into this campaign, this voting and whatnot?
Get out and vote. Vote, vote, vote. I don't care who you vote for. No matter who you vote for, vote. Men and women have died through the course, the history of our country to protect our right to vote. And so you need to get out and vote, educate yourself, and don't follow your friends or your family. You vote your own conscience.
There you go. Well, thank you so much again, Frank. I do appreciate it. And to all of you listening this morning as you work out, thank you so much for tuning in. For all of you listening tonight, have a great night. Take care.